balancing different player preferences. Well, first, let's work out the kind of preferences that players might have and where they sit in opposition to each other, because some of them feel mutually exclusive. The official D&D books actually break down D&D gameplay into 3 pillars. They call it the pillars of adventure: combat, exploration, role-playing. Those are pretty broad. I mean, you're not going to have a character that only likes role-playing but doesn't like exploration or doesn't like combat. Like, I don't know. I don't feel that those broad player types necessarily exist. Instead, I want to look at it in terms of individual activities in those pillars. As a player, how do you feel about these things? How do you feel about dungeon crawling? How do you feel about combat, wandering monsters, those planning sessions before heists? How do you feel about role-playing shopping or interrogation scenes? How do you feel about metagaming at the table? Traps, puzzles, riddles? Are you okay with time skips? You know, these are all different events that can happen in your session, and you're going to have feelings about them. You're going to have some feelings. And hey, I'd be really curious to see. I know a lot of people that watch me are dungeon masters, but when you're a player, what is your favorite aspect of the game? And what's your least favorite aspect of the game? As a dungeon master and a player, it's your duty to be introspective and try and work out what you like and what you don't like. And also to work out what the other players like and what they dislike. Work out where you all stand, try and map it out. Once you know the playing field of what people like and what they don't like, you can start to act on that information. And the first thing I'd suggest you do is start planning your sessions on a meta level. And what I mean by planning on a meta level is you're not looking on the narrative level and going, okay, this NPC would naturally do that, and because of this consequence, this will happen. Instead, you go up one level and you go, ooh, this session, I think it would be fun to do a heist, a puzzle, and a combat. Or this one, I think it would be fun to do maybe a puzzle and a chase and then some shopping. Because sometimes if you're not critical on that meta level, then you might end up with a combat that is all dungeon crawling or all combat or all role playing. And that can be a big problem because not all of your players are going to have the same preferences. And the goal here should be to give each player preference just a little something to keep them happy. The ideal session should have variety. And you might be thinking, oh Matt, I can't do that. I've locked in. My narrative is locked in, okay? They are in this situation. They are in a swamp. They can't get out. How are we going to get the variety of, I don't know, a shopping scene or a puzzle in this, this vast desert or something? Hey, are you stuck in a desert? Are you doing like some kind of desert crawl and you want to shake it up? Mate, do a flashback, and then the players get to have a bit of a breather from that desert hellscape. Are the players trapping themselves in some kind of shopping scene purgatory because of their decisions? My dude, just attack them. Just somebody attacks them. And look, what I'm about to suggest, I know people get all up in arms about never do this, but hey, you can do whatever you want. Sometimes it's helpful just to split the party. If this group of people really love combat and this people don't, but they love shopping, let's go like, okay, let's contrive a reason to split up and I'll attack these people while these people are shopping and I'll kind of bounce between those scenes, which is very fun. Once you've injected that variety into your session, you can get straight to step 2, which is to encourage your players to be gracious. And this is just a simple logistical fact. You cannot please all of your players at once. If they have very different preferences, then somebody at some point is going to be like, hey, this isn't my favorite thing. The thing we're doing right now isn't my favorite thing, said the player. But hey, disgruntled player, sometimes the content the Dungeon Master puts up isn't going to be necessarily for everybody. Sometimes the Dungeon Master will put up a scene or an NPC or an opportunity just because they know 100% that one player will go, oh my goodness, that's my jam. I've always wanted to kick somebody off of a bridge. I talk about it all the time, and here we go. An old lady tying her shoe near a bridge. Of course. That was a silly example, but sometimes you're going to put scenes in the game that are mainly meant to appeal to one player and really make their day special. Well, I think it is the duty of the other players to recognize that and be gracious. Enjoy that other player getting the spotlight briefly, but also trusting that eventually it's going to work its way around and that player might get in the spotlight and you might get in the spotlight and I might get in the spotlight. We all get a turn. An example of a player being gracious is that I have a player who hates puzzles. He hates puzzles. He just kind of quietens down. He just recedes back into the spotlight and he lets the other players take on that challenge. And then once the challenge is done, and I don't mind him being quiet, by the way. I don't think it's antisocial for him just to, mentally remove himself from the situation for, 10 minutes while the other players enjoy themselves. Once the puzzle is done, he comes back and he's not shady. He's not upset that he didn't get to shine for 10 minutes. He's fine. He's just happy to be there. But being gracious in that way, it is an exercise in trust. And when people trust you to do that, to share the spotlight and to shine the spotlight as a dungeon master, it does become your duty just to keep track mentally. Have I given that player a moment this session? Have I given this player a moment this session? And if you haven't, then it's your job to go, well, I'm going to try and contrive a way for that player to shine just for 5 minutes, just to have something really cool. And my third solution here is to be selective about who you play with. This might seem kind of mean, but some people aren't gracious people. Some people aren't trusting people. But 2 qualities of every good party: trust, graciousness. And if somebody can't embody those aspects or can't learn to embody those aspects, mate, they don't deserve a place in your group. I started pretty strong on this person. I said, hey, they can't trust. They're not gracious. Kick them out. But what I mean is maybe they're just not trusting or gracious with your playstyle. There's a group out there that's full of combat that they go, yeah, I just want to go out there and move my dude on the grid and kick old ladies off bridges. I encourage them to do that, but maybe it's not your group. Thank you so much for watching this video. All the people downstairs here, these are my patrons. Thanks, patrons. You absolute legends. You beautiful legends, you. And I've got 2 other videos on the right. Do me a favor, click on one of these. That would be pretty stellar of you. That would be incredible of you to click on one of these things to the right. All right, I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.